Hello there, dear viewer. I hope you're doing very well today. We have some Criterion Collection announcements to talk about, some new 4Ks and Blu-rays coming from Criterion in August this year. Some people on social media and the forums are already saying this is a bit of a weak month for Criterion. Now, I'd like to know what you think, whether you agree that it is a weak month in terms of the selection of films available. Now, I personally disagree, but it could be that my tastes are a bit broader than most people, which is fair to say. I do consume an awful lot of different kinds of films. I can sort of see where people are coming from because there's no big film like Thelma and Louise or Risky Business. There's no Kurosawa 4K upgrade. There's no Tarkovsky 4K upgrade, something like that. Instead, we've got a selection of films that I think are great films, but don't quite have the draw, the pull that other months have had in the past. So do let me know in a comment what you think about these titles. Let's just get straight into it. The first one is The Last Emperor, the Bernardo Bertolucci movie, getting a 4K upgrade from Criterion. This was originally released by Criterion on Blu-ray all the way back in 2009. So this is a 15-year upgrade on the older Blu-ray. Ordinarily, I would be very excited for this because I think the film is an epic masterpiece that we don't see many get made these days. It's a brilliant film telling the story of the last emperor of China. It was nominated for 9 Academy Awards when it came out, and it won all of them, making it one of the biggest award winners in Oscar history. It has brilliant performances, outstanding direction from Bertolucci, cinematography from Vittorio Storaro, which is just stunning, and it has great music from the likes of the late Ryuichi Sakamoto and David Byrne. The reason I'm not super excited for this Criterion announcement is because I already have the film on 4K. In fact, I have it twice. I have the Arrow Video 4K limited edition set, which came out last year, and I also have the German 4K media book from Turbine Media, which came out last year. And both of these were sourced from the same 4K restoration because Arrow and Turbine actually collaborated on the 4K restoration. And I have to imagine that Criterion's disc is using the exact same restoration. I'd find it very strange if they were undergoing their own restoration on the film. So you're most likely going to be getting what is seen on these 4K discs already. Criterion's new release is carrying over the special features from the older Blu-ray, and it has the same artwork on the front cover, so that's what we come to expect from Criterion. I would say that if you have that older Blu-ray from all the way back in 2009, this is definitely worth the upgrade. What I would say though is that you might want to consider looking at the Arrow version or the Turbine version, because it may well be cheaper just to import that than buy the Criterion disc. But that, of course, is up to you to decide what to do. I will include some purchasing links to buy these if you'd like, and it does help support the channel at no additional cost to you. But regardless, this is a great film, a masterpiece if you ask me, and the 4K restoration is beautiful. So you have a lot to look forward to no matter which version you pick up. The next release to talk about is a new addition to the collection, Spy Number 1229. It's 2 films from the filmmaker Kira Muratova, and they are Brief Encounters and The Long Farewell. These films recently got a 4K restoration, but this set is not a 4K UHD, it's just a Blu-ray version. But let me tell you, the films themselves are incredible and the restorations look beautiful. The reason I know this is because I already have these 2 films on Blu-ray. I have the Studio Canal Blu-rays that came out last year, which are fantastic discs. And again, if you don't want to wait for the Criterion release, and if you are region free or region B compatible, you can pick up these Studio Canal Blu-rays for about £10 each. These films have a legacy of being quite hard to see because they were banned in Russia and Ukraine when they first came out, and they are great pieces of cinema. I honestly would recommend these as blind buys if you are a big fan of world cinema, which I imagine you are if you're into the Criterion collection. The announcement of this Kira Muratova box set from Criterion continues a series of announcements where Studio Canal have licensed out to Criterion. We've seen this with a number of 4Ks, and this is the latest edition. And in fact, the special features on the Criterion box set are exactly the same as on these two discs. They are the interviews included. So between the two, there's actually no difference at all, which I find very interesting, that there is absolutely no difference between the two versions. Does that mean that Criterion will simply be copying the disc contents across, or will they be re-encoded by Criterion? And as we know, Criterion do not have the best mastering process for discs, so it could be that the encode is worse on Criterion's disc and you might want to pick up these instead. That's only if you're particular about picture quality and compression. If you don't care about that, then by all means get the Criterion edition, and no matter how you watch these films, they are great, and I really strongly recommend them to anyone watching. The next release to talk about is a film called Not a Pretty Picture, directed by Martha Coolidge, and this is a new addition to the collection, and it's new to me. I haven't seen this yet, although I am a bit of a fan of Martha Coolidge's work because I really enjoy the film Valley Girl, which she directed, and I have a warm spot in my heart for this film. So I'm eager to check out more of her filmography. From the sounds of it, this film is all about personal trauma and is in many ways, it reads as autobiographical, dealing with sexual assault and trauma in general. So it doesn't sound like an easygoing watch, but it sounds like an important one. And it's one that I will be blind buying for sure. This is one that I think will actually come to the UK from UK Criterion, or at least I've got my fingers crossed, because it doesn't have a physical media release from anyone else in the UK. I always get asked by my UK viewers, how do I get my US imports? And I always bring up Boutique Home Video. They are an online shop and they have quite an extensive catalogue of Criterion titles and Kino Lorber, etc. So if you fancy any imports, do go and check them out. But like I said, I think Not a Pretty Picture is one that we will see come to the UK eventually. Then we come on to the two releases I'm most excited about. Two films from Albert Brooks, and they are coming to 4K and Blu-ray, which is a major surprise to me, but a very welcome one. The two films are Real Life and Mother, and these are directed by Albert Brooks. I think they're written by him as well, and starring him. So he wore many hats in his productions. I haven't seen these two films, so they are a bit of a blind spot in my film knowledge, but the films I have seen from Albert Brooks I love dearly. Two of them are available on Criterion. We have Lost in America and Defending Your Life. Both of them are available in the UK from Criterion as well, if you're in the UK. These are fantastic films. I strongly recommend these to anyone if you can get your hands on them. And while not a Criterion disc, the film Modern Romance has a fantastic release from Indicator, and this is my personal favourite of Albert Brooks's films. So if these two films, Mother and Real Life, are anything like these three films I've just shown, I am very excited at the prospect. These two Albert Brooks announcements also feel like they could come to the UK eventually on 4K discs, because we got these two other Criterion discs from his filmography in the UK, and I don't believe these have a release in the UK from any other label. So fingers crossed that we get those sooner rather than later. So those were just my quick thoughts on the latest Criterion announcements. I didn't go into too much depth just because I don't typically do that in these videos. And later on, when these films release, I'll have much more to talk about. Do let me know what you think about this month's announcements in a comment below. Do you think it's a weak month, like many people do on social media? Or is that just a vocal minority? Because I think there's still a lot to be excited for, even though I do have half of these films on great discs already. If you'd like to get some Criterion recommendations for me, perhaps for the upcoming Barnes & Noble sale next month, just click the video that's presented on screen right now. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you soon.